Evening all. Right, it all looks like a few people here, so welcome. Let's just make sure it's all working. Looks like you're live there. Let me just put the website in the comments. As you know, you'll see it on the post somewhere. I'm never sure where it actually is, but I'll make sure you've got it here. So Beyond the Lens Academy.com. One of these days I'm going to type it wrong, I know, but let's have a look. Good evening, Alan. Beyond the Lens Academy.com. Okay, so welcome. Now, what we're going to be covering this evening, as advertised, is a bit of social media. Now, obviously, we can't go into everything, but I'm going to focus on Facebook this evening, and quite a lot of detail, actually. So some of this might seem a bit complicated, but the whole point is just to make sure people understand and share some of the knowledge that I've gained over the last 5-6 years with my sort of business. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments where I've just put the chat box, and obviously this is being streamed to a number of different sites, my dog photography page, the Beyond the Lens Academy page as well. So if you've got any questions, obviously pop them in. I've got a presentation I'm going to take you through. Good evening, Andrew, another one of our members, all about social media in terms of Facebook and the various different aspects to it, and how to work with it to maximize both your audience's sort of experience and also your business. But before we get into that, how about I tell you who I am, because you might not know who I am. So I'm Carl Thomas. I run a number of businesses. The two main ones are Carl Thomas Photography. You can probably see on my coat there, on my jacket, shirt even, which is a specialist dog photography business, and Beyond the Lens Academy, which is an online training support platform. Hence the website address up there. And to make sure that's right, Beyond the Lens Academy.com. Yeah, so that's the online training support platform. And so just a brief sort of introduction about that. I set that up on the basis of the experience I had going through the last 5-6 years of my dog photography business. Evening, Chris. Evening, Steve. Hello, Dale. I dropped you a message earlier, Dale. I think you were looking to join the private Facebook group, which is for members, but I did send you a message about that, so hopefully you'll join. So I kind of set the business up on the basis that, having gone through, I've been a photographer for 30 odd years, but I set the dog photography business up that I'm known for in 2015. And obviously you go through lots of different sort of iterations of learning online and various workshops and stuff like that, all very good at different levels. So Beyond the Lens Academy is sort of a result of that journey. So it's a one-stop shop for beginners, amateurs, pros. There's lots of online content, there's lots of live content, there's lots of webinars, there's private Facebook group, and so on. So we'll get on to a bit more of that in a minute. So I'm going to start the presentation. I think it's probably the best thing, isn't it? So social media, just as sort of a bit of a background to it, it's very powerful. I'm 56. I'm not considered to be the social media era. So I've had to learn, and I've spent a lot of money over the years on various different courses to make sure I understand it, and it seems to have worked. My dog photography page has something like 25,000 people who follow it now, and it's growing rapidly. The Instagram page has got about nearly 3,000 followers on it, and it's a very vibrant, successful business. Not just because of social media, because obviously I like to think I take a decent photo, and I've got some lovely clients and I've got a great offering, and that's all part of what we do in the academy in terms of the pro aspiring pro level. But the social media side of things is really important. So hence this evening. So let me share my screen and let's see if this technology works. I always love doing this. Let's just see. Go over there. Go to full screen. Let's hide that little bit on the bottom there so that doesn't get in the way. Right. Now let's put this up. So I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds because you can't see me now, or you won't be able to see me in a second, but I want to make sure on the other monitor that it's full screen and I've got all the details on it before I get started. Looks like it's working anyway. It normally takes about 5 or 10 seconds. So as I say, comments and questions in the, hang on a minute, I might change that actually. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to change that. Sorry, because some of you might be watching this on an iPad or an iPhone, so I'm going to maximize it so that you don't lose 20% of the screen looking at my face. You can see me later. Right. So let me just go back here a minute. So now, let's just see if that's done, and then we'll get started. But yeah, so while that's just checking. So any questions? I'd be interested to know, if you've got a business, what you're looking to try and get out of social media, what you currently do with it, what you find your challenges are, so we can sort of talk about that. Because a big part of what I like to do on these webinars is interaction with people, really, because it's not just about doing a presentation. This is not a long one. This is about, I can't remember off the top of my head, maybe 10 slides. Shall we get started? Saw me whittling on. So, social media for photographers. I'm going to focus on Facebook for this one because I think it's important. It's one of the bigger ones, obviously. As we know, I think it's something like 2 billion odd people on there. So there's 1 or 2 customers. But as you can see on this slide here, and this is an important thing to consider. So, and it kind of might seem a bit obvious, but social media can transform your business or not. I've seen some businesses turned from sort of a cottage industry to multi-million-pound businesses. Not necessarily overnight. I mean, Villager Jim, I don't know if you follow Villager Jim. He's been very successful on with his social media campaigns and has got a massively successful business. But I've also seen businesses ruined, either because they haven't got social media right and they've not grown along fast enough, so they've not therefore been able to make the profit they needed, so they've had to stop, or they've got social media wrong and they've had negative feedback and trolls and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very important area to manage and control, I suppose, in a sense. So second point on here, it's constantly changing. Keeping up the changes is crucial. It is, as a term that some people often say, it's a bit like nailing jelly to a wall or a sort of a tree. When you think you've got it right, and you sort of things are starting to work quite well, they change the algorithm or they change what they do with it. And so it's not something that you can go on a course and learn about and think, okay, well, I've mastered that now and that's good. It's an ongoing thing. So, for example, in the academy, for the pro aspiring level in the academy, and there are 3 levels which we'll get onto at the end of the presentation. I pretty much every week I'm giving everybody an update on social media, particularly on Facebook, the things that have changed, the things we need to be doing. So let's have a little look at Facebook, shall we? So the latest algorithm. Let's sort of explore that. So there's lots of different ways of looking at Facebook, but what you have to understand, and I'll get into some of the text on here in a moment, is that some people look at it negatively. Some people sort of say, oh, you've got to spend money on it to get posts boosted out and you've got to do adverts and all that. That's true, you can do all that, but if you think about it in a positive way, it is largely free and you have the ability to set a business up tomorrow, create a Facebook page and target people at a specific age, a specific, male, female, at 25 years old, who live in a certain postcode, who happen to like landscape photography, or they happen to like dogs, or they happen to like weddings. It's unbelievably powerful. And so it's a very, very useful tool. The other thing to think about, before we sort of get into some of the text, is that Facebook is, we're all, we've got our businesses. If any of you here are watching and you've got a business and you've therefore got a Facebook page, and so you'll think about Facebook in the sense of your business and what you're trying to get from it. But you've also got to keep in mind, which I think is really important, Facebook from a point of view of the users. Like you and I, we're all consumers. We all use Facebook. So we'll be on our feed every day, pretty much these days. And the content that's served up to us, what Facebook is looking to try and do in broad sense, and I'll get into some of the detail, in terms of the algorithm and the way it looks at it, it wants, or Mark Zuckerberg wants, the experience. So just think about yourself for a minute, don't think about your business, that when you pick up your phone or your iPad or you're on your desktop and you're scrolling through Facebook, it wants your experience to be interactive and community-based so that you spend more time on Facebook and that you stop and you look at interesting content. And that kind of makes sense. So that's frankly what I want as a consumer of Facebook. And so we have to keep that kind of thing in mind when it comes to our own businesses. And so that's not a brand new thing, but in the last sort of year or so, Facebook has been really, really pushing this. And so broadly, anything that doesn't tick that box is going to have issues. So let's get into it. So Facebook, the algorithm, it can rank all available posts that can display on a newsfeed based on how likely the user will have a positive reaction. So it knows, based on how I interact with Facebook and where I've been and what I'm doing, the kind of stuff I like. So therefore, on that basis, it's going to serve up things that I like and not serve up things that I don't like or that I don't have, I don't tend to interact with. So what it does, if you look at it here, and the bottom comment is that Facebook ranks and prioritizes content posted from friends over publishers with a focus on what the algorithm determines as meaningful interactions. So business is important. Obviously, it's how it makes its money, but it's a balance between serving up content that's based on adverts and serving up content that is meaningful. And that's something we have to keep in mind all the time and sort of navigate through. So let's just look at some of the sort of the key areas that Facebook looks at. So in terms of the algorithm, when you put a post up, what it does is it looks at a number of things, and this is just the 4 key areas. There's lots more, but these are the 4 things that. So if you think about, you put a post up of whatever it might be. So in my case, a picture of a dog and some text. So what's going on that day when Facebook is looking at serving up stuff on my wall, if you like, or my poster, on my feed, is looking at how much stuff it's got available to display that's relevant to me, the signals that tell Facebook what each of those posts are. So, is it a video? Is it an advert? Is it an event? All that kind of stuff. And it's got predictions based on how you'll react to each of those posts. And as a result of all those things, it will give it a score. Now, obviously, it doesn't tell you what the score is, but you can get some ideas. So what you'll see on your Facebook feed sometimes is you'll put a post up that does really well, and you'll put another post up that doesn't do very well at all. And that is all driven by this. So what you've got to start considering, if you've got a business and you want to really, really maximize Facebook, is just think about the Facebook almost like the magnifying glass, looking over your shoulder. When you're typing up a post or you're creating an advert or looking at getting something that you want to share on Facebook, think about how Facebook looks at it and think about how you think about Facebook, if that makes sense. So here's the most obvious one. Spam and misleading information will penalize pages. Now, that's always been the case with Facebook, and I think it's the case with pretty much any social media platform out there. However, the new algorithm is better and better at recognizing biased content. Now, we've seen all the Cambridge Analytica stuff and all the various things that have occurred and recently, and all the sort of election issues and political bias and all that kind of stuff. So Facebook is very, very, very alive to this now. So it almost feels to me like it's kind of potentially gone over the top, if that makes sense. Because it is becoming almost obsessive. So, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. So pages that share content that Facebook that labels clickbait, for example, it will get penalized. And depending on how bad that is, you can ultimately get your account shut down. And that was something that you'd hear about in the community that I run occasionally, maybe 6 months to a year ago. Now it's becoming much, much more common. So we need to look at that and sort of manage it. So I'll come on to sort of a bit more about that in a second, but that is probably one of the most important things. I mean, we've all seen it, don't we? You get an ad or something appears on your Facebook page and it's like, buy this now, the offer expires tomorrow and I'm going to 10x your sales, all that kind of stuff. You're like, no, I don't want that. That's not what I'm on Facebook for. So there you go. Right, next. So these are the things now that are the things that I recommend you do, and we'll talk a bit more in detail when we get to this presentation, how it sort of affected my business and some of the way I post things. But one of the most important things you can do to sort of tick the box, if you like, is be a conversation starter. It's not just about putting content up. It will favor content that fosters positive interactions between your followers and others. And what that means, what does that look like? So if you've got a post up and it doesn't matter what it is, post X we'll call it, and nobody's really interacting with it, and you might get the odd comment and the odd like, then Facebook's going to look at that and go, that's not very good. Whereas if you get a couple of people comment on it going, that's a nice picture, if you then interact with that, so it's no good just liking it now. It always used to be okay. If you go back and say, that's brilliant, thank you very much, Facebook watching. So Facebook starts scoring this, going, oh, actually, yeah, this post and this particular individual's sort of interacting with this appears to like it. So make a note, Carl likes that picture. The other things that that work, anything to do with education, entertainment, anything that will provoke a conversation instead of it just being stuff that you put out there. So you want your content at the end of the day to prompt people to stop their scroll. This is really, really important, and share one another. So people have got their phone, and you'll see they're grabbing it and dragging it down. And at the moment, it has become inordinately difficult because obviously of the current situation with lockdown and more people being online and stuff. So there is so much more content out there. So we have to work 10 times harder to make sure that our message, whether we've got a Facebook group or a business or something we're trying to get out there, gets on that person's feed in the first place. So I get to see it as a consumer, and then it's structured in the right way so that I go, oh, I'm interested in that, and I might stop scrolling. And ultimately might click on it and ultimately might buy something or follow a page. So those are all the things we have to consider. This is really important. All these things are really important, really, but focus on your audience. People sometimes forget this. So your content should always be relevant to your core audience. The people you want to build a community around, and this know, like, and trust thing. So what that looks like for me, I've got, say, 25,000 people who follow my page, and it's all dogs because I'm a dog photographer. When I do other things as well, but my main business is dog photography. And so what you have to do is understand, because people say to me, well, how have you done that? I accept and understand that probably 50% of the people that follow my page are not necessarily going to be clients, but they're following it because they like pictures of dogs. And that's brilliant. I don't have a problem with that at all. That's really good. But what I then do is I'm regularly posting things that are not just about, I've got a promotion coming up, it's Christmas time, here's vouchers. Obviously, I'll do that. But I'm regularly just posting pictures of dogs that the audience section that just love my work and just follow it, who are never going to be customers, like. And that's a big deal. And there are so many companies that I see out there that don't do that. They just focus on the business side of it. And so that's a big tip, and it certainly worked well for me. Now, know, like, and trust. I want to talk about that for a little bit. One of the things that is really important is know, like, and trust. Building some kind of rapport or relationship with your audience. Now, in the real world, as in face-to-face world, which of course has been different over the last year, imagine you're going to buy, you're going out to buy a computer. So you go to the computer shop A and you have a chat with a young lad who's sort of interested, but he's checking his phone and he wants to go and have lunch and stuff. So you don't really get to know him, you don't really like him, and you don't really trust him. It's not been a pleasurable experience. You go to the other extreme, let's not go through all of them, and you go somewhere where they stop and they ask you lots of questions, they find out the kind of specification you want, they talk to you about your budget, they show you some different products, they don't try and pressurize you into buying anything. So you're starting to get to know this person, you're probably going to like them, and over a period of time, and this can be 10 minutes, half an hour, you start to like them, start to trust them. And it's a bit of a sort of a consultancy speak, which is not one of my favorite things, but it's really important. So, that's the same thing about buying a car. You go into the showroom, and we've all done that. You've gone into a showroom and they ignore you. So you often walk out, and you might have gone in there with the money in your bank to go and buy a nice car. And so they've lost out, and you don't know, you don't like, and you definitely don't trust them. So you go somewhere else and they look after you and they don't hassle you and they follow up and all that. You end up knowing them, liking them, trust them. So that's fairly straightforward in terms of the real world, if that makes sense, or the non-digital world. But how do we do that in our digital world? Now, depending on your business. So for me, my business is dog photography. Obviously for the Academy, I do wildlife photography and landscapes and all those kinds of things. So I do all sorts of photography, but the main business that I have is my dog business, or dog photography business. So how do we get the know, like, and trust? Because it's all about building engagement on our Facebook pages or on our social media. And one of the ways that, the main way that I do that is I'll regularly post. Obviously, normally I'm going to be posting lots of pictures to do with what I do as a business, the kind of stuff that people will want to book me for. And that's important because at the end of the day, it's a shop window. But fairly regularly, I'll be posting pictures of my dogs. So I've got 3 dogs, Badger, Woody, and Archie, who are famous. And that 50% of people that follow my page, who are not necessarily going to be clients, plus the other 50% who are thinking about it, they start to get to know me a little bit and like me and trust me because I'm sharing stuff about my, I suppose it's not exactly private, but the dogs' names, silly little videos of them running around doing things, videos of them sitting waiting for their dinner, sat on my lap, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just business; it's about being real and being sort of authentic, and that can make a huge, huge difference. It certainly transform my engagement levels. So that kind of summarizes there. Now, this is something that I found very, very useful. So it might look complicated, and I'll simplify it for you. So put ad spend behind content with organic momentum. Classic speak, isn't it? So what that basically means is when you get a post that does well, forget the fact you might have, it's not about boosting or advertising at this stage, but if you've got a picture up, we've all got them. If you've got a business page, where you put a post up and you've put a couple of lines of text on it, and for some reason it's gone mad. Some posts have gone viral. That's how Villager Jim started with the famous photo of Dilly, the Black Labrador. So if you get a post that's going well, that might be worth putting some money behind, because if you boost a post, and I'll come on to that, I'm not going to spend too much time on boosting and advertising because that's relatively complex, and this is more about the broad brushstrokes of it. But if you boost a post and say you got 100 likes and it cost you £100, in simple terms, that's £1 to go. But if, that might work well for you. But if you've got an organic post that is suddenly being picked up and people like the image, for me it tends to be pictures of either Badger and Woody and Archie, or maybe a little puppy, and you put some money behind that because it's already got some sort of momentum behind it, you can get 3 or 4 or 5 times the value. Spending the same money, you could get 4 or 5 times the amount of reach. So as it says at the bottom here, content's already got a strong organic traction, means lower CPCs, cost per click, that means. So it's value for money, really. So that is a very, very powerful thing. So I'm often doing that. People say to me, well, presumably you're only going to boost a post or advertise a post that has got a promotion on it. I'm like, no, that goes back to this thing. Your audience is not always going to be somebody who wants to buy from you on that day. So sharing posts that people sort of have got an affinity with or seem to quite like, pushing that out to a few more people is a really good thing to do. One of the ways I've described this in the academy when I'm working with the pros and aspiring pros is imagine a sort of a bar. So imagine if you've got a lot of activity in a bar, it's all going on, and there's a nice, and it's a bit sort of untopical at the moment because we can't do it. But if it's all happening and everybody's in there having fun and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of what happens with these posts. If you've got a post that's doing that and it's got a good organic reach and you've put some money behind it, the post doesn't say buy me or doesn't say book me now, but what it is doing is getting your followers, potentially thousands of them, depends how many you've got, interacting and going on. So think about a bar, everybody's in there, the music's playing, they're all having a good time. And then when that's going on, maybe a few days later, you do put a post up that says, oh, by the way, if you'd like to book a photo session with me, this is how it works. The bar's full and half those people are going to go, oh, right, yeah, actually, we'll do that sooner here. So it's a very, very powerful tool. Now, this is the one that I often see, and I'm on the end of it sometimes as a user. So avoid clickbait. Now, that used to just be really, really sort of rigid stuff. So those posts that come up and say, "But book me now. The offer's finishing tomorrow. You're going to miss out. The world will end if you don't click on this." Blah blah. And that's always been a bit of an issue on social media. But Facebook has done its best to try and control that. But it has now upped its game significantly. So like and share and all that kind of stuff now are considered engagement baiting. And literally in the last few months, they talked about this at the turn of the year. When they're sort of in a beta program in terms of the algorithm. But what happens now, and I've seen it, I used to regularly, and we all do as a business, I put a picture of a puppy up and say, look, here's a capture competition, for example. And it would say, best caption by the weekend will win a free photo session. Please like this page and share. All you have to do is like and share the page. Facebook now, it won't ban it, but it will throttle the reach that you'll get with that back massively. I mean, really significantly. So you don't do it. Now, what you have to do is think about different ways of saying, because typically it's robots that are reading the text on your post when you get them boosted or when they're up there. So things like share, like and share, you could say, for example, let your friends know. There's lots of different grammatically clever ways of describing what you're trying to achieve that is less harsh in terms of the Facebook algorithms. So it's not a good thing. And also, just generally speaking, what you will find, 2 posts. So I've done this experiment. I've got some pictures of puppies that I often put up that sort of go nuts. So if I put one post up with just what a lovely puppy kind of thing, or don't you love a puppy, and then another one up with exactly the same picture and the same text, but saying, oh, and please feel free to share it, the engagement can be 50%, maybe even 10% of the other one. So don't just sort of look at this and go, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. It is really, really important to get that right. And take it from me, I've got a fair few people following me, so it does work, trust me. Right, now here's another thing that I think is really important. If you've got a Facebook business page, you can click, there's a thing called Insights, and you can click on it and it tells you absolutely everything. You can drill right down to the nth detail. You can find out how the average age of the people on your Facebook page at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. I mean, it's very, very powerful. But what you need to do, of course, is use it. And that's why I say know your numbers. So after a while and you started posting posts and putting information up on your page, have a look at what's going on. Now, I just grabbed this earlier on today. So this is the post reach, not for a specific post, but just on my page for 12th. What's that? So it's probably, I can't do the maths. That's probably a couple of weeks. So the reach has gone to 159,145 people, which is a lot, but it's up by 405%. Because I've been doing a lot of activity lately, and it's not about spending a fortune on ads. It's not that. It's just about doing some of the stuff I've already talked about. And that's the kind of thing you see. Now, that's just an overall thing. But what you can do, more importantly, is you can drill down. You can go to the bottom of the Insights page on your Facebook page and start looking at individual posts. So understand your numbers is what I'm basically saying here. So when you have a little look, get yourself a cup of tea and just go through and have a look at all the posts and see. It doesn't matter if you've not spent a penny on boosting or advertising, and you don't necessarily need to. But what you'll see is look at all the posts, and it tells you the reach, the engagement, and the clicks. And you go through and you think, oh, that one there this one did really well. What was it? What was it about that post? It might have been the phraseology you used. It might have been the actual picture. It might have been the time of day you did it. And so if you start building up a picture of posts that work well, it's simple. You just do more of it. And the ones that don't do so well, do less of it. It's not complicated in a sense, but know your numbers. Facebook is a very, very powerful tool, and there's massive data behind the whole algorithm. I'm just checking the system over here to make sure all the comments, that's all going on. That's good. Right. So in terms of summary, and I'll get back and carry on answering questions so when you can see me. So it's very sophisticated. Don't even think about trying to sort of get around it. The best way to do with it is understand, accept that Facebook is the way it operates, and I think it's a laudable way of doing things, to be honest, because I'm a user as well. So keep your content meaningful. Be a conversation starter. Have conversations with your people who engage. When they like your page, thank them for things like that. Be an advocate for your audience. So I'm obviously in my dog photography business. I'm always talking about dogs. Anything to do with dogs, I'm interested in. Stay away from clickbait. Tempting though it is. So another one, for example, when it comes to clickbait, is website links. Now, obviously, we're running businesses, so we're going to put a website on there. But I've done experiments. So a post with a website link on and a post without it on, about half the engagement. And think about the pub. Think of it, if we were all Facebook, and wouldn't we like to be that? We'd all be worth a few quid. And so let's imagine we've got 100 members. So our 100 members, which is all of Facebook, are in the pub, and it's all going on. And that's our Facebook club, and we call the pub Facebook. And then there's a bloke in the corner with the equivalent of a website link saying the dog and duck around the corner, it's a great place. Come and have a look at that. So half of our members are being taken away from the pub. And what that looks like on Facebook is the link is taking somebody away from Facebook. And so whilst it doesn't ban it, because obviously Facebook understands that is part of business, you want to avoid it. I don't be doing it too often. And then the other thing is, think about yourself as a user. If I see a post that I think is interesting, I might share it with friends. But if it's got buy now, book tomorrow, offer ending in 24 hours, and here's a website link, the propensity for me to share that post is reduced by about 90%, because I'm like, oh yeah, my mate's not going to want me sharing that. And it's the one thing that Facebook has got limited control on. So when people are sharing things, it's got those kind of clickbait things on it or words on it, it doesn't necessarily always work very well. So try and avoid it. As I said, boost your best performing organic content. So obviously, if you're going to put if you've got a post up that's to do with promotion, you can boost that and advertise that. And I may do a separate webinar about that, because that's a whole section in itself, and that's an ongoing thing we're doing in the academy. But if you get something that's it's starting to run away with it, stick a 5 on it, put a 10 on it, and just push it a little bit, because it'll get people talking. And Facebook then monitors that, and if that's doing well, though, more and more people will start to see your content. And you saw my charts back just now in terms of the engagement I've managed to achieve, and that's what I do. Track your Facebook performance with insights and other tools. So just know your numbers. Really, really, really important. So let me just come out of this a minute, and we'll come back, see what kind of questions and comments we got, and I will stop share. Hey, right, I'm back. So any questions, pop them in the comments. So that's sort of a brief. I mean, I don't like these things to be too long because I'm conscious of an evening, so there's half an hour. But now I'll just touch on some of the types of posts. So one of the little strategies that I employ in terms of how I post and how often I post, because I didn't cover that in that particular presentation, because it's more about the technical side of things and getting people understanding how the algorithm works. But one of the things that's really important is the regularity of how of posting on Facebook, and the kind of posts. They're two, in addition to all the stuff I've just talked about, they're two really, really important. No, that's not. It's not, Rob. It's something that's just part of Facebook. So if you've got a Facebook page, it's just one of the tabs that you can click on. So Rob's on our members. I'll be doing a webinar about that certainly in January, because we're going to do all the stuff about planning for next year. So yeah, no, it's not something you have to buy. It's just part of the data set. But that's on a business page. On your own page, I don't think you can get it on a private page. So in terms of the regularity of posting, it used to be different. In simple terms, in the last year or two, the amount of users on Facebook has done this, and in the last 6-8 months, it's gone like that. And so what would happen is if you've got a business page, and I've seen so many people do it, and I did it when I first started. I put a post up on a Monday, and I think, well, that's quite good. And it'd be a little bit of engagement, and then I'd be really busy. And then I get to Friday and think, oh, I haven't put anything up. I'll do another post. And so the engagement will have dropped off a little bit, and then it will come back up again because I put another post up and a few likes. And that's got harder now. So what you need to be doing now is posting regularly. Now, I personally try and post, I like to try and do something most days. I've been a bit rubbish lately because I've been so busy. But certainly 3 or 4 times a week, I would say, is a minimum if you're looking to really grow your business and get engagement. And the reason for it is that to get the engagement level up, everybody in the pub chatting and it all going on takes time in any kind of social media platform, but certainly does on Facebook. So if you're regularly posting and you're responding to everybody and having conversations with them and boosting the odd post and pushing it out, your engagement is going to go up like this. And what used to happen is if you then have a couple of days off because you're busy or you forget, it would start to dip a little bit. It wouldn't go too bad. And then you come back and you put a post up and it carries on. So it's like a little step ladder. So that was fine. But what happens now is different. So if you're working hard, like I am at the moment, pushing Facebook and doing everything I need to keep my members and customers happy, I'm sort of up here. If I don't post for a couple of days, it drops down. It doesn't go on the floor, but it will drop off massively. And then when I start posting again a few days later, it's a really slow process. So it drops really, really quickly now and takes just as long to get back up again because there is so much content available on Facebook. We've all done it. You all get your phone and you're scrolling through and it's like, blimey, tons of stuff. So that's something to consider in terms of constantly posting things and having good engagement on your page. The next thing is to make sure that you're posting the right kind of content. Now, the structure that I use is there's kind of 3 types of posts. I'm thinking about from a business point of view now. If you're looking at the point of view of getting people to book your services, whether you're a wedding photographer, whether you're a street photographer, newborns, equine, whatever it might be, this sequence works. And so what you'll do is 3 sort of what I call a standard post, where it's a picture or several pictures with a sort of a one-liner of text, maybe 2 lines of text. I avoid lots of text. So for my page, for example, it might just be a picture of a puppy saying, don't we love a puppy? Or picture of Badger saying, Badger's doing this. And you'll do quite a few posts like that. Think about a sequence now. So normal, non-selling posts, just like that. And then you do what's called a soft sell. And so you'll do the same kind of post, but instead of, and have the same sort of things like, Badger chilling out, or it's been a busy week. And then you might just say, if you're interested in a photo session, drop me a message. So that's what I call it. It's my terminology. I just call that a soft sell. So it's kind of all the stuff I'm doing. Oh, by the way, if you fancy a session, just drop me a message. Not a big deal. No website links. And you might drop a few of those in. So you're keeping the activity going because everybody's interested in what you're doing. And then you would just go, oh, by the way, you fancy a session, a photo session, drop me a message. And as long as you're doing that sequence prior to the promotion, so I've got one running at the moment, for example, which is my photo sessions are normally, what are they? Normally £149, and they're well, £50 is £100 off. So that's a promotional post. So that will then effectively be like not a hard sell, but that's a sell. So you don't want to be doing that all the time because it upsets people. So I'm going to check something here a minute. All right. People with angry faces, they think they're smiley faces. I thought I'd upset somebody. But yeah, so and I see it all the time on Facebook. People, and I've got it. I follow loads of Facebook pages, lots of doggy pages, lots of business pages. I love techno. I do a lot of diving. So and anything that I'm interested in, I follow the pages. And then I get really frustrated when everything I see on that feed is a promotion. Buy this now. We've got that now. We're doing this offer. And after a while, what happens is I stop interacting with it. It's self-fulfilling. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So I'll scroll past. Facebook's going, Carl's not interested in that anymore. Stop serving it up. So then I'll stop seeing it. You try it out. If you follow any pages and you click on and you haven't interacted for a while, that's the best way of doing it. If you haven't interacted for a while, go on a page you're following. I don't know, it might be lawnmowers or whatever it is. Click on a couple of pictures on there and just have a little look. And then all of a sudden you'll see the next few days, it'll start appearing on your Facebook because Facebook's gone, they're interested. So that's like a little sequence that I run, and it's no more complicated than that in terms of the structure for it, and it works. It's how I've got 25,000 people and growing rapidly. I mean, it goes up pretty much 1,000 every few months at the moment, which is wonderful. But it requires patience. It requires the sort of thought process I've just described, understanding that algorithm and keeping abreast of it. Because if you don't, if you put a post up and you just leave it and you've got a few hundred people following you, 3 or 4 months time, you might have another 50. You might have another 30, and it's not going to be happening. And that is not what you want on Facebook. Now, the other thing you ought to be considering on Facebook is don't get into debates. This is my advice. So if you get somebody who has an opinion, and that goes on at the moment. So I always avoid posts, anything to do with lockdown, anything to do with things that are controversial. Stay away from it, because it can upset people. So you can find yourself at the end of two scenarios: a genuinely upset person that says, "Oh, I don't think that's right." So, for example, I had a lady the other day, lovely lady, one of my promotions that I was running that had pictures of lots of dogs, and everybody's loving it. She must have thought I was selling puppies, which I'm not. So I messaged her and said, "Oh no, I'm not." Oh, okay, that's fine. But she'd made some kind of comment, so that was fine. But that was a well-intentioned comment, so I didn't have an issue with it. But you will also get the less well-intentioned ones that can sort of troll and stuff. And so my advice with that is, don't get into an argument, don't get into a debate. If that's going on, just ignore it, block the person, hide the person, or even take the post down. Because I've seen businesses, as a result of trolls and people sort of trying to react, get ruined. It's not worth the hassle. It really isn't. Let me just see what's going on there. That's good. So I hope that makes sense. Let's just see if there's any comments. No, not many questions. Well, quite a lot this evening. But I get that, because it's a slightly more complex subject in a sense. But what I was trying to do this evening is just get people understanding just the broad principles of how Facebook, and I'm doing more of these in the academy. So we're going to be doing Instagram, and we're going to be doing YouTube. So there's a lot of stuff to do. And 2021 is going to be a very exciting year, I think. For us photographers, or whatever level we're at. So if anybody's got any questions, pop them in. But let me just see what else I've got on here. So let's have a look. What can I tell you? So the other things to think about then. So in terms of Beyond the Lens Academy, people have often said to me, or often say to me, how does it work? Is it open? Now, normally we are what's called a closed membership. So what that means is we only open 2 or 3 times a year. Now, the reason we do that is we spend all of our time working with our members, and so that's the main reason we do it, really. If we were open all the time, we'd be having to market and manage and all that sort of process. So we do that. Now, right now, we for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that kind of stuff, I got so many messages from people saying, "Oh, look, how's this work? What's your offer going to be?" So all we did was we opened the doors. So the last intake was in November, and we've just opened the doors again, left those offers on the table. So right now, you can join. The membership is open, but it's closing on Sunday night. Which is a couple of 3 days away, isn't it? So, and there are some significant discounts, anything between 33% and 50% off annual and monthly membership. And you go to the website, you see it all there. So it's www.Beyond the Lens Academy. So what it'll look. I understand the principle. Yeah, it's the same thing, Steve. Well, you're one of our members, so let's have a little chat. I'm going to be doing a bit of a webinar about this, because there's a lot of people who are in the academy, or just, not necessarily in the academy, but who have got pages on Facebook that aren't necessarily to do with the business, but want to get some engagement. Same things apply. So we're going to be talking about that. So that's what Andrew's saying. Just stop it. I've never paid much attention to Facebook and how it works. Yeah, it's one of those things. And, I'm 56. I know I don't look it or whatever, but so I'm not of that era in terms of Facebook. So, and to be frank, if I didn't have this dog photography business and this very exciting Beyond the Lens Academy business, I probably wouldn't spend much time on Facebook. But I've invested a lot of money with various consultants over the years to make sure I understand it properly, and it's pays off. I've got a very successful business in terms of the dog photography business, all to do with obviously you've got to have a website and all those other things, but I reckon 80% plus of my revenue comes from income that's driven by social media presence. So quite a few things to consider there. Just go back to the academy then. The doors are open until Sunday night. There's a number of offers. At the moment, we've also got, because a few people have bought them as Christmas presents, a further 10% off. So you go on the website, it's all on there, so I won't bore you with it, but it's basically the Black Friday code. So you put that in. If you want to join as an annual member, that allows you to save a further 10%. So I think the annual memberships have got, where's my little discount? I haven't got my codes here. I haven't got it, doesn't matter. But I think some of them are as much as 50%. So it takes you down to 6% off. So the Pro Aspiring Pro, particularly if anybody's here who's thinking about that, It's got unlimited one-to-ones, and we will be stopping that going forward, because what I want to make sure is the members I've got at the moment and the intake that we were having, there's quite a few people joining over the last sort of week. So we'll keep it for that, so I can continue to offer that kind of support. So what that basically means is, so I've had people this last few weeks, I've had a number of members I've had 2 or 3 one-to-ones with. Typically, it tends to be most weeks. So if you join as a pro aspiring pro, or you're an amateur or beginner, and you fancy that level because it's unlimited one-to-one. So some people prefer to have a one-to-one chat. Then you can come on once a week and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether to do with settings, whether to do with Facebook, the kind of stuff we're talking about here, or you just want to have a chat. Because one of the things about photography that is definitely the case is it can be a bit of a lonely sort of existence. As part of the reason I set the academy up. We've got hundreds of members in here. We've got online content. The webinars are all recorded live. So our members coming along and ask a bit like we've got here going on. So comments and questions come up and I put them on the screen. That's all then uploaded into the academy. So it's a bit more of an organic kind of process, really. So what else can I tell you? Let's have a little look. So in terms of all the costs on the website, because right now, ordinarily, you wouldn't be able to click the sort of join now buttons, but they're all there. But for beginner, it's like 90p a day, I think it is. And if you join annually, it's about 70p. I mean, how much do you value your photography? How much does potentially taking your photography to another level mean to you? Amateurs, it's £1. It's not, it's a quarter of a Starbucks or a Costa, and it's just even less on the annual basis. And the Pro Aspiring Pro, this is one that people often ask me about, because we're talking about business and Facebook here tonight for some people. So right now on the monthly basis, it's, what is it, £2 something? I can't read that. £2 something a day. Half a cup of coffee from Costa a day, to have unlimited access on a one-to-one basis to me, content that you get access to a thing called the Hub, which has got tons of resources in it, a specific section for pro aspiring pros, and the amateur and beginner stuff. You get all that content as well. And if you think about what we spend on photography, us photographers, £2.90 a day, 80 quid in a month or whatever it might be, it's amazing. That's why we're going to be stopping it, because the finance team have gone nuts. So I set it out like that, and they weren't having it, but it's my business, so I'll do what I want. So think about it in terms of investing in your photography. And on the annual basis, that's like £2.50. It's even less, £2.50 a day. So one of the things that I can almost guarantee is that if you're thinking about setting up a business, whether it's street photography, weddings, newborns, bump to baby, equine dogs, the amount of income you can generate if you do it properly, with the support that I can give you and the academy can give you, will cover your subscription in one order, I suspect, if not more. And we've got some members. I mean, have a look at the reviews. In fact, let me see if I've got one here. I might not have. Let me just see. Let's have a little look. I don't know what that one is. What's this? What's that review? That's Rob. Yeah, so that's Rob. He's one of our members. It is what it is. Tells you what it is. Here's another one here. That's Tony. He's one of our pro aspiring pros. He's joined, and he said, I won't read it out. You can read what it says, but it's all it's all real stuff. It's on the Facebook page. But he set his business up. He went live, and within about, I think it was a week, maybe 2 weeks, he got himself to about 400 followers. He's getting bookings. He's got clients coming in. Got another member that comes to mind, Emma. She's set her business up a few months ago and has had multiple orders already, and some of those orders have been over £1,000. And so, don't let somebody say to you, there's no money in photography. It's not true. If you get the structure right, and you have your business set up right, and you have your Facebook page right, and you have your website right, and all the kind of things that we do in the academy, you can make a very successful living from photography. Because I've done it. And, I'm not anybody particularly special, I don't think. But, Right, let's have a little look. What have we got on here then? I'm not sure what links to post. Hashtags when uploading images to promote my pet photography work on Instagram. Hope you understand what I mean. It's been a very long day. Yes, I do. So hashtags, we're going to be doing one. I mean, obviously this is more about Facebook. Now, the thing with hashtags is effectively what they are is they're like little filters. So if you put, if I put a picture up of a puppy and I hashtagged it puppy, anybody searching in Instagram using that term, my feed and anybody else's that post and anybody else's post will sort of appear in there. So you can then search on that hashtag and all your content's in there. So what I recommend people do when it comes to hashtags, it's not something that Facebook, I mean, you can use them on Facebook, but people don't. search for hashtags on Facebook anymore, but on Instagram, it's quite a powerful tool. So what I suggest you do with that to maximize it is look at your business, work out what it is that you want, what kind of clients that you want, and the kind of things that they're interested in, and start just get yourself on Instagram, open it up, and just put the hashtags in, have a little look, and go and see. So put hashtag, I don't know, if you put hashtag puppy, and you can see well, what's going on, all the kind of posts that are in there, the kind of people in there that have got stuff on that's going on like that, and think, okay, that might work. My advice, and this is one of the things that we're going to be doing in the academy for Instagram, because we're going to be really pushing that for next year, because Instagram is slightly misunderstood. It's growing at twice the rate of Facebook. Well, maybe twice the rate. It's growing at a much faster rate. So it's a place that people are starting to go. So I recommend that you get yourself maybe about 10 and get used to the same ones for your business, because it represents your business, and then just post those all the time. So that's what I would do that. YouTube's another one. So we're going to get for the Beyond the Lens Academy, we haven't really got a YouTube channel. Well, we have, but it's not really used properly. I set it up to use it for our webinars, but that's all been relaunched over the Christmas break. Now, people often say to me, "Oh, YouTube, but what? It's just videos, isn't it?" It's the second biggest search engine in the world. Say that again. So everybody thinks Google, and Google owns YouTube. Second biggest search engine in the world. It's amazingly powerful. If you think about it, so you go and search. Imagine at the moment. So I mean, most people here are probably going to be photographers. So here we go. Andrew's saying loves Instagram. Yes, good product. So you're going to search Canon EOS R5. You know, the new mirrorless camera, and you'll see a few texts, a few sponsored ads, and then you'll see 3 or 4 little videos. They're YouTube. YouTube is a search engine, and it is unbelievably powerful. So we're putting together a whole load of series of things about how to maximize that. And I've seen businesses start from next to nothing and end up turning over literally millions, especially in the States, millions of dollars inside a year or two. Because one of the advantages of YouTube is you can monetize it. And what that means is you'll get paid for the advertising on it. So when you get your followers up and you're doing all the things right. Now, YouTube is different to Facebook, obviously, as is Instagram, but there is a definite structure. There's a definite type of posts, a definite way of doing it. And that's all stuff that we're adding into the academy fairly soon. So exciting times. Right, what I was going to tell you, how are we doing for time? 50 minutes, right. So workshops. One of the things that the Beyond the Lens Academy offers, over and above all the online stuff and the interaction, the Facebook page that we have, and the image critique reviews and all the stuff that we do, you see it on our website, is workshops. There's kind of 3 formats. There's 2-day ones, and literally a couple of days ago, I think it might be the weekend. What day is it? Thursday? I don't know. Anyway, they're on the Facebook page and on the website. So if you go to the website, www.beyond the Lens Academy, the 2-day ones are on there. And they're run in Stratford-on-Say, which is just south of Reading, north of Basingstoke, a beautiful place called the Wellington Arms Hotel, all part of the Duke of Wellington estate. And it's 2 days. So it's a mixture of, and it's small groups, 5, 6 people maximum, because that way there's plenty of one-to-one time, and they're suitable for beginners to pros, because the way we operate them, it's not like one different level. And it's a mixture of sort of practical or sort of theory and discussion about how settings might work or whatever we need to be talking about on the day, and lunch and everything's all included. And then we'll go out and take photos. So I'm going to tend to use my dogs. Now, obviously, some people have said to me, "Oh, yeah, but I'm not a dog photographer." But if you can, and the people love it on these workshops because we have a good laugh as well. Once you've mastered taking a photograph of a Springer Spaniel, Badger, for example, my Springer, runs around at 30 miles an hour everywhere, then you have learned how to use your camera for action shots. Archie, our Black Cocker Spaniel, if you can work, he's just as fast, but photographing black dogs and those sort of things, that context happens for other genres of photography, is a challenge. So we kind of do all that. So that's the 2-day ones. Members get a discount on those as well, which is useful. It's about 20% off, so that's quite good. Then the other ones are sort of more residential workshops, wildlife, landscape. Again, beginners to pros welcome. So we've got 2 that are running at the moment, or that are available to book. One in Isla, in the Inner Hebrides, is just breathtaking. Let me just show you if you're watching this on the playback, where's my pictures? Have I got any pictures? I'm not sure. Let me just have a little look. So we're going to be in Isla, and we're going to be staying in here. It's a beautiful house. It's in 37 acres of land. And this is a scene that's around the corner. Let me find the picture. Where's it gone? Oh, yeah, there it is. That's around the corner. So it's landscapes, wildlife, all sorts of stuff. So there's 2 weeks there. One of the first weeks sold out in about, I think it was a week. The second week is almost full. It's in June, and the dates are, it's all on the website, 19th of June. So there's space on the second week, but only, I think it's 2 places left. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And ordinarily, I know that sounds a bit mad, June, it's not quite Christmas yet. Ordinarily, we'd be probably talking about it in January and February, but because of the 6-8 months that we've had of not being able to do a lot of people have had holidays cancelled, and so they're looking to sort of get stuff planned for next year. And I totally get that. So getting these places secured was difficult because people were getting them booked up already. Now these workshops, so the Isla one, for example, can you bring partners and who are not photographers? Yes. So think about it as a holiday as well. So that's a possibility. So that's Isla. And then the other one that's more recent or sooner is the winter workshop in Scotland, in the beautiful Cairngorms, where we start doing things like this. And snow ptarmigan and hares. Let me find some more pictures for you. I keep moving my pictures around. I'm sure I can do that. There we go. That's it. This is the kind of accommodation that we've got. So it's not done by half. It's all very nice. Here we go. There's a nice little grouse. So that one, same thing happened with that. We put that up. So it was the 6th of February to the 13th of February. It sold out almost overnight. So we were able, fortunately, to get another week, which is because, was a surprise because it's Burns time up there. We've got the week before. So 30th of the week that's got a space on it. I might actually be 2 actually. Somebody was messaging me this evening. Let me just check. Oh no, there is a message from there. So I'll check. But anyway, that's a week in the Cairngorms in the snow, staying in this beautiful house, looking at taking photographs of beautiful landscapes up there, deer, red squirrels, mountain hares, ptarmigan. But what we've done with that structure is there's the week, or there's the ability to come and do 3 days. So the first part or the second part, and there is, I think it's 1 or maybe 2 spaces left on that if you're interested. So those are the kind of workshops to do. We're also looking at some more because they're so popular. So Alan Ward, who's the guy, somebody didn't mention his name, but he's a very accomplished award-winning wildlife photographer and videographer. So he runs them with me. And so we're looking at dates for later on in the year. We did one in October this year, so that was wonderful. So I'm going to leave you in peace, I think, unless there's any more questions. Let me go back to comments. Okay, no more questions there. So say Sunday night, we're closing. Now, one other thing I would mention, if you go to the website, you'll see a number, there's lots of stuff on it, lots of information, a few little video clips and things like that. But if you like what we've done, if this interests you, but you're not ready to join, then get yourself on the mailing list. There's a place on the website. Normally it's a blue button. It will say add me to the list. I don't spam people and send out lots of emails because I hate that myself. But it will mean that you'll get, so everybody who's on the mailing list got the information about this webinar, and there's one tomorrow. So if you're interested in that one, it's 11 o'clock tomorrow. All about getting off auto and the exposure triangle and the different settings, shutter priority, aperture priority, all that kind of stuff. So I'm doing the same thing as this, but for that tomorrow. But get on the list because it will let you know when I can then make sure you're told when we're opening the doors for new members and workshop dates and stuff like that. So that's worth doing. And I've said about the offer, so there's an extra 10% thing off at the moment on the annual memberships. So the discounts are a bit nuts. We're shutting the doors on Sunday night. And in terms of when we open again, January is going to be a bit mad because I've got a number of workshops I'm running in the first few weeks in January. And then we're off to the Scotland winter workshop, which is landscape and wildlife. So we'll try and do one in January, but it may be February before we open again. So if you are thinking about taking your photography to the next level, whether you're a beginner, an amateur or a pro, or you want to set up a new business, or you just want to learn how to use the new camera you got for Christmas, have a little look. It'd be worth joining. It'd be great to see you inside. So on that note, 56 minutes. That's not too bad, is it? I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's been useful. Thanks very much for coming along and asking all the questions. It always makes it much more interesting. We've got some engagement. I will leave you in peace. If you want to come on the webinar tomorrow, it'll be on the Lens Academy Facebook page. And it's 11 o'clock. It's just all about, auto settings. So it's completely different to what we've done this evening. Oh, is that another question? Let's have a look. No problem, Stefan. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So I'll leave you in peace. Have a great evening. Just want to find my little video. I've got a little outro video I like to play. And hopefully see you in the academy. See you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.